Our first story impacts 83,000 athletes. Let's start the pulse right now. Good morning. The National Association of Intercollegiate Athletics, which represents smaller private colleges and universities around the U.S., announcing new policies banning transgender athletes from women's sports outright. Athletes governed by the organization will only be allowed to compete in women's sports if they were assigned female at birth. Following the announcement, the NCAA is again being called to adopt a similar policy. The organization is facing a lawsuit from former athletes over the current policy, which does allow transgender athletes to compete against those assigned female at birth. Former President Donald Trump revealing his stance on the controversial abortion issue leading up to the 2024 presidential election.
The states will determine by vote or legislation or perhaps both, and whatever they decide must be the law of the land, in this case, the law of the state.
Trump reiterated his support of exemptions for cases of rape, incest, and if threatening the life of the mother. His stance causing some backlash from both sides of the aisle. Senator Lindsey Graham saying he respectfully disagrees with Trump, while former VP Mike Pence called it a, quote, retreat on the right to life and a slap in the face to anti-abortion Americans. Now, even though the White House is pushing stricter emissions policies in an effort to make electric vehicles more widely accepted, a new Gallup poll says Americans just aren't interested. According to the poll, about 7% of Americans already own an EV. That's up from 4% last year. However, nearly half of Americans, 48%, say they would not purchase an EV in the future, an increase of 7% from 2023. And check this out, a 53-year-old grandmother just broke the Guinness World Record for the longest time in a plank position for a female. Donna Jean Wild from Alberta, Canada, clocked in at just over 4 hours and 30 minutes, beating the previous record of 4 hours and 19 minutes achieved in 2019. The grandmother of 12 started planking 12 years ago when she broke her wrist and was unable to run or lift weights while wearing the cast. And what would have been even more impressive if she stuck all 12 grandchildren on her back with a goat on top. President Biden announcing Monday a new student loan forgiveness plan that could benefit millions. Under the new plan, the administration would cancel up to $20,000 of a borrower's accrued interest regardless of income.
Too many people feel the strain and stress, wondering if they're can get married, have their first child, start a family, because even if they get by, they still have this crushing debt. That's not it's not just a drag on them, it's a drag on our local economies. It's a drag on, no, it really is.
We will, of course, take a deeper look into the president's new loan forgiveness plan a little later coming up in the show. Surprising new data released by the CDC says more than half of U.S. babies born in 2023 were to women in their 30s or older. What was considered the starting age of geriatric pregnancy has now become a sweet spot age for new moms. Here's a little deeper dive on the information. 31% of mothers are between age 30 and 34, 17% are 35 to 39, and 4% were 40 years and up. As an added bonus, research by the Journal of American Geriatric Society suggests that being 35 or older and pregnant could lead to better brain power after menopause and a smaller gender wage gap. And as much as it pains me to say this, again, the UConn Huskies beat the Purdue Boilermakers in the men's college basketball national championship game last night, taking home the crown 75-60. And to absolutely no one's surprise, after yesterday's eclipse, Google Trends is reporting a spike in searches related to eye pain. Those who looked at the eclipse without eye protection for too long went online looking for a quick solution. And of course, as we just mentioned, what's causing me eye pain this morning? Watching that game last night. Busy legal day for former President Donald Trump yesterday. First off, a New York appeals court rejecting Trump's motion to delay his hush money trial, setting up jury selection for April 15th. Trump sought to change the venue, claiming he could not get a fair trial in Manhattan. At the same time, special counsel Jack Smith urging the Supreme Court to reject Trump's claim of presidential immunity in a case charging him with scheming to overturn the results of the 2020 presidential election. In the court filing, Smith reiterating his stance that, quote, no person is above the law, end quote. Lawyers for Trump have argued he could not be charged by Smith because his 2020 election claims pertain to his official presidential duties. A new Pew Research study finding a decline in public trust in the K-12 education system in this country, essentially giving the public school system a failing grade. According to the survey, more than half of Americans believe public education in this country is on the wrong path. 16% feel differently, saying the school system is going in the right direction, while 32% say they are unsure. A major reason for these results, most say schools are not spending enough time on core academic subjects. Country star Morgan Wallen was arrested over the weekend for allegedly throwing a chair off the rooftop of Chief's Bar in Nashville, Tennessee. Wallen was charged with 3 counts of reckless endangerment and 1 count of disorderly conduct. This isn't Wallen's first run-in with the law. In May of 2020, he was charged with intoxication and disorderly conduct after being kicked out of Kid Rock's Honky Tonk Bar in downtown Nashville. He was also charged with a DUI in 2016, a case that was later dismissed. The Vatican declaring Monday taking a bold stance against gender theory, gender-affirming surgery, and surrogacy, calling them grave violations of human dignity and practices that violate God's plan for human life. In the 20-page Infinite Dignity Declaration, the Vatican repeated the rejection of, quote, gender theory, writing, it follows that any sex change intervention, as a rule, risk threatening the unique dignity the person has received from the moment of conception. JP Morgan Chase CEO Jamie Dimon sharing his concerns that U.S. interest rates might soar, get this, to 8% in the near future due to a combination of record debt and the ongoing global conflicts. In his annual letter to shareholders, Dimon wrote, quote, huge fiscal spending, the trillions needed each year for the green economy, the remilitarization of the world, and the restructuring of global trade all are inflationary, end quote. And while everyone was focused on the solar eclipse happening in the sky, a different kind of shade was taking place on the social media platform X. In celebration of the rare celestial event, NASA's moon account revealed it had blocked the NASA Sun and Space account, adding the humorous caption, oops, I did it again. It's nice to know you can still get quality content like this on social media. And here's what's funny, we know a lot of space nerds or science nerds.
Yes.
And that's not a cut down. They'll
No,
tell you, yeah, we
they
love
love
science.
it.
We're
Yeah.
doing
Yeah.
it. So they can be funny.